You think you can just walk away from this?
Before you dive into this incredible true story, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more inspiring moments from Hollywood's golden era. These are the stories that remind us why we love the entertainment industry. Let's begin. The Sands Casino in Las Vegas glowed like a jewel under the desert sun on that fateful evening in 1963. The famous Copa Room was packed to capacity, nearly 2,000 people, all waiting for one man. Dean Martin, the smoothest operator in show business, was about to take the stage for his legendary midnight show. The audience was electric. Wealthy businessmen sat alongside Hollywood starlets. Celebrities rubbed shoulders with tourists who'd saved for months just to see the Rat Pack in action. Everyone was dressed to the nines, ready for an unforgettable night of entertainment. But what happened that evening would become far more than just another Vegas show. As Dean prepared to walk out onto the stage, something unexpected caught his eye. In the wings, near the kitchen entrance, a young waitress was crying. Not just quietly wiping away tears. She was sobbing, her shoulders shaking, her whole body trembling with emotion. The show was supposed to start in 2 minutes. Dean Martin paused. The music was queued up. The spotlight was ready. 2,000 people were waiting, checking their watches, eager for the performance to begin. But Dean did something that night that would change one woman's life forever and remind everyone in that room what true character really looks like. "Hold everything," he said quietly to his stage manager. And then he walked toward the crying waitress. To understand why Dean Martin would stop a sold-out Vegas show for a stranger, you need to know who Dean really was. Not the polished performer on stage, but the man behind the tuxedo. Dean Martin was born Dino Paul Crocetti on June 7, 1917, in Steubenville, Ohio. His father was an Italian immigrant barber who worked hard to provide for his family. His mother came from a poor Italian background as well. Dean grew up understanding struggle, watching his parents work their fingers to the bone just to keep food on the table. Unlike many celebrities who forgot their roots once they made it big, Dean never forgot where he came from. He remembered what it felt like to have nothing. He remembered watching his mother's hands, cracked and worn from years of hard work. He remembered his father's tired eyes after long days in the barbershop. But Dean's journey to stardom wasn't easy either. In his early 20s, he worked as a blackjack dealer, a boxer, and even a singing waiter while trying to break into entertainment. He knew what it meant to struggle. He knew what it meant to be invisible, to work hard and still barely get noticed. By 1963, Dean Martin was at the absolute peak of his fame and success. He was one half of the most famous comedy duo in the world, paired with Jerry Lewis. He was a singer with multiple hit records. He was an actor who'd starred in successful films. He was the coolest guy in Hollywood, the man every other man wanted to be and every woman wanted to know. At the Sands Casino, Dean Martin wasn't just a performer. He was the main attraction. The hotel had built its reputation partly on his talent. The Copa Room was the crown jewel of Vegas entertainment, and Dean Martin was the king. But success hadn't made him arrogant. If anything, it had made him more aware of how quickly things could change. He'd learned that the spotlight could move away from you just as fast as it had come. He understood that one day you're on top, and the next day, you could be forgotten. The waitress's name was Maria. She was 23 years old, a Mexican-American girl who'd come to Las Vegas to escape a difficult family situation. Her parents had wanted her to stay in their small town, to marry the local boy who worked at the gas station, to live a small, predictable life. But Maria had dreamed of something bigger. She'd wanted to see what was out there in the world. She'd wanted to prove that she could make something of herself. So she moved to Las Vegas and got a job as a waitress at the Sands Casino. It wasn't glamorous work. It was exhausting, actually. She worked long shifts, standing on her feet for hours, carrying heavy trays, dealing with demanding customers who sometimes treated her like she was invisible. The pay was barely enough to cover her tiny apartment and basic living expenses. But Maria had bigger dreams. She wanted to be a singer. She'd sung in her church choir back home, and people always told her she had a beautiful voice. In Las Vegas, surrounded by performers and entertainers, those dreams felt closer than they ever had. She'd been taking singing lessons with an elderly music teacher who worked part-time at the casino. For months, she'd been saving every penny, planning to audition for small clubs and work her way up. It was a long shot, she knew, but it was her dream. That morning, everything had fallen apart. Maria had gone to her lesson, excited and nervous, ready to practice the song she'd been working on for weeks. But her teacher, the kind old man who'd believed in her and encouraged her when no one else did, had a stroke during their lesson. She'd called an ambulance, had ridden with him to the hospital, and had spent the last 8 hours waiting in the emergency room. Around 6 in the evening, the doctor had told her the news. He'd survived, but he was paralyzed on his left side. His speaking was slurred. His prognosis was uncertain. The doctor said he probably wouldn't be able to teach anymore. Certainly not for a very long time, if ever. Maria had lost more than a teacher that day. She'd lost her guide, her mentor, her believer. The man who'd pushed her to keep going, who'd told her that she had real talent, that she could really make it. He was gone in the way that mattered most. She'd dragged herself to work anyway because she couldn't afford to miss a shift. Missing work meant no paycheck. No paycheck meant she couldn't pay her rent. So she put on her waitress uniform, pinned her name tag to her chest, and tried to smile at customers even though her heart was breaking. But by the time the midnight show was supposed to start, she couldn't hold it together anymore. She'd snuck into the wings, away from the customers, and just let herself cry. Just for a moment. Just to let the pain out before she had to go back to pretending everything was okay. She had no idea that Dean Martin was about to change her life forever. When Dean Martin approached Maria in the wings, she didn't recognize him at first. Her eyes were blurred with tears. She was so caught up in her grief that the most famous man in Las Vegas was just a blurry figure in an expensive suit. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Dean asked. His voice was gentle, genuinely concerned. Not the smooth, joking voice he used on stage, but a real, human voice. Maria looked up, startled. She recognized him instantly. Everyone would. But the shock of seeing Dean Martin in front of her, actually talking to her, actually asking about her problems, made her start crying even harder. I'm sorry," she stammered. "I shouldn't be. You have a show." "The show can wait," Dean said simply. He looked around and spotted a quiet corner backstage. "Come with me." Maria followed him, still amazed that this was actually happening. Dean sat down on a crate and motioned for her to sit beside him. He pulled out a handkerchief from his pocket and handed it to her. "Now," he said, "tell me what's got you so upset." And Maria did. It all came pouring out. Her dreams of being a singer, her teacher who'd believed in her, the stroke, the uncertainty, the feeling that her one chance at a better life had just evaporated. She told him about growing up poor, about her family's limitations, about the shame she sometimes felt when customers at the casino looked through her like she was invisible. Dean listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't check his watch. He didn't seem to mind that 2,000 people were waiting for him. He just sat there and listened like she was the most important person in the world. "You know what your real problem is?" Dean said finally, his brown eyes looking directly into hers. Maria shook her head. "You're looking for someone else to believe in you," he said. "First it was your teacher. But here's the thing about life, sweetheart. The only belief that really matters is your own." He stood up and took her hand. "Come on. I want to show you something." He led her to a window that overlooked the Copa room. Maria could see the stage below, the lights, the orchestra, the 2,000 people seated in the darkness, waiting. "You see all those people down there?" Dean asked. "Every single one of them has struggled. Every single one of them has had moments where they thought their dreams were finished. But you know what separates the people who make it from the people who don't?" Maria shook her head. "Heart," Dean said simply. "It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not connections. It's heart. It's the ability to get knocked down and stand back up. It's refusing to let one bad day define your whole life." He turned to face her fully. "That teacher of yours, he believed in you because he could hear it. He could hear the real thing in your voice. And you know what? That didn't change. That thing he heard in you, it's still there. It didn't go anywhere." Maria felt something shift inside her. The grief was still there, but suddenly it didn't feel like the end of everything. It felt like just a bad day. Dean squeezed her hand. "What's your name?" "Maria," she said. "Maria," he repeated, as if committing it to memory. "Maria, I'm going to tell you something that I wish someone had told me when I was starting out. Success isn't about being the best. It's about being willing to keep trying when everyone else gives up." He walked her back toward the stage entrance. "I've got to do my show now, but you're going to do something for me." "What?" Maria asked. "You're going to keep singing. You're going to find another teacher, or you're going to teach yourself. And you're going to stop waiting for someone else's permission to chase your dream. You've got permission, Maria. From me. From your teacher who believed in you. Most importantly, from yourself. He started to walk toward the stage, then paused and turned back. Oh, and Maria? Come see me after the show. I want to introduce you to someone. When Dean Martin walked out onto that stage, the audience erupted. The spotlight found him, and for a moment, he was exactly who they expected, smooth, charming, the coolest guy in the room. But something was different that night. Dean Martin performed with an intensity and passion that people who were there still talked about decades later. It was like watching someone perform at the absolute peak of their powers and their humanity at the same time. He joked with the audience. He sang beautifully. He did comedy sketches that had people laughing until they couldn't breathe. But woven throughout the show was a message about believing in people, about seeing the invisible workers who kept the world running, about recognizing talent in unexpected places. At one point, he stopped mid-song and looked directly at the audience. You know what the problem with America is? He said. We walk past miracles every day and don't even see them. There's incredible talent working in restaurants, in factories, in offices, in homes. And we just don't see it because we're too busy looking at people who are already famous. The audience quieted, not sure where he was going with this. So I want you to do something for me, Dean continued. Tonight, when you leave here, I want you to really look at the people who serve you. The waiters, the bellhops, the housekeeping staff. Really see them, because some of them might be the next big thing. And they're only invisible because we haven't bothered to look. It was a powerful moment. The whole room felt it. After the show ended and the audience filed out, Maria was waiting in the wings, still in her waitress uniform, her eyes red but her head held a little higher. Dean found her and took her hand. He brought her to his private dressing room and introduced her to someone she recognized, Frank Sinatra's music producer, a man with real power in the entertainment industry. This is Maria, Dean said. I want you to listen to her sing. Maria's heart nearly stopped. She wasn't prepared. She hadn't practiced. She was still in her work clothes, and her face was blotchy from crying. I can't, she whispered. Not like this. Not like this. Dean smiled. Maria, this is exactly like this. This is real. This is you right now in this moment with everything on the line. This is what being an artist is really about. So Maria sang. She sang the song her teacher had been helping her perfect, the one she'd been dreaming about performing for months. She sang with her whole heart, with all the pain and hope and determination that she'd been carrying. When she finished, there was silence. Then the music producer stood up. That was remarkable, he said simply. I'd like to help you. What happened to Maria after that night is the real story. The music producer didn't make her a star overnight. That's not how the real world works. But he did something equally valuable. He gave her a genuine shot. He introduced her to other musicians, helped her get auditions, supported her when rejections came. It took Maria 3 years before she landed a real singing job at a nightclub. It took another 2 years before she recorded her first single. She never became a household name. She never had a #1 hit. She never became famous in the way she'd originally dreamed. But she became a working musician. She performed regularly. She made a living doing what she loved. She traveled. She met other artists. She built a life that was infinitely better than serving tables at a casino. And every time someone asked her how she made it, how she kept going after losing her teacher and almost giving up, she told them the same thing. Dean Martin believed in me at a moment when I didn't believe in myself. He stopped a show with 2,000 people waiting, just to talk to a crying waitress. He taught me that my value didn't come from other people's approval. It came from inside me. Years later, Maria actually got to work with Dean Martin on a television special. They became friends over the years, and Dean never let her forget that moment backstage. You know what I learned that night? Dean told her once. I learned that we're all just people trying to do our best. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness, really seeing someone, really listening to them, can change their entire life. Dean Martin passed away in 1995, but the world he left behind is richer because of moments like the one he shared with Maria. Because he understood something fundamental about being human. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to know that our dreams matter. In our modern world, where we're surrounded by screens and distractions, where we often look through people instead of at them, this story reminds us of something timeless. It reminds us that kindness isn't weakness. Stopping to help someone isn't a waste of time. Believing in people when they don't believe in themselves isn't just nice, it's revolutionary. Dean Martin was a star, yes. But on that night in Las Vegas, his real greatness wasn't in his voice or his talent. It was in his humanity. It was in his choice to see someone who felt invisible and to make her feel like she mattered. That's the kind of legacy that lasts forever. Final call to action. If this story touched your heart the way Dean Martin touched Maria's, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We're dedicated to sharing true stories that remind us of the good that exists in the world. Stories about people who saw others, who believed in them, and who changed lives with simple human kindness. Don't miss our next inspiring story. Subscribe now and ring that notification bell. Thank you for watching, and remember, be the kind of person who sees people. The world needs more of that.